Hello, this is The Soul Dive. My name is Lebo. I am your host. I am so pleased that you were able to join us this time. The Soul Dive is concerned with talking about those things that can help us to live a more fulfilled life, to improve ourselves and consciously choose to add to the collective soul, if you will, in a meaningful way that we are proud of and we enjoy doing. We begin the soul dive by doing a tune-in. This is a time for pulling ourselves towards ourselves and just getting clarity and being in the moment. I invite you to take your shoes off, put your feet flat on the ground if you can, sit in a comfortable way that you are able to be comfortable and focus on your breath for the next 5 to 7 minutes. I invite you to take a nice deep in breath and out. Another deep in breath and out. Bringing a hand to the heart. We place a hand over the heart. Of course, we want to find our heart center as we focus on our breath. We begin to bring our attention to our breath as it is. Whether your breath is shallow or deep, whether it's rhythmic or fast, slow, we bring our attention to our breath. Just be aware of your breath as it comes in, your breath as it goes out. Becoming more aware of the sensations that go with your breath coming in, your breath going out. Bringing our attentions to the sensations that we feel in our body. You feeling warm? Do you maybe taste something in your mouth? Of course, thoughts are coming and going. We allow them to come and go, just as we would people in the mall or down the street as we walk by. We don't give them any importance. Just allow them to come and go as they do. Focusing on our breath. Becoming aware of exactly when you are breathing in, exactly when you are breathing out. I'd want to bring your focus to the place at which you feel your breath the most. For me at this moment, it is the rise and fall of my chest as I put my hand over my heart. It may be the tiny little sensations as your breath comes into your nose, bringing your attention to exactly this part of you. You may notice that your breathing starts to slow a little bit more than when you started. This is intentional. It is as you ground yourself and become more self-aware that you will find yourself relaxing a little bit more. Give yourself permission to relax. Allow your cheeks to relax. Allow your forehead to relax. Allow your shoulders to slump down and relax. Relaxing your stomach muscles, relaxing your knees, getting heavier in your seat, and relaxing a little bit more with each breath, fully aware of what is real and true for you in this moment. Maybe there's some sounds that you're hearing out your window. Don't give any of it any importance. You're aware of it, but you are just you in this moment. This being, none of the labels apply in this moment. You are you, being with yourself. Releasing all the stress of the day. Relaxing into this moment. As we take one last in breath deeply, we raise our hands up. As we breathe out, bring them down. Hand over shoulder. and a warm hug over ourselves, giving ourselves all the love that we need in this moment. Don't forget to smile at yourself as you do. Remember that you can always do this to ground yourself, to become more aware of your experience, and to just be. Right. So I'm going to play you a little video that tells you a little bit about a thing I call the soul dance. I'm so proud of it. It is so exciting. We have been dancing East London flat. If you're able to join us on the 8th of May, which is the day before Mother's Day, we are celebrating mothers along with Blissful Farm at the Blissful Farm near Gunubi. I will link that video down here, which is also on this channel available. If you're catching us on Facebook, it's of course on the group here as well. You're welcome to just go have a look and then make a booking. Bring your mom or a mother figure and come and celebrate with us, even if you come on your own or maybe with your children. But it is a beautiful heart circle. We will be able to do a soul dance and then of course do a heart chat, if you will. I'm going to take this off because I'm feeling a little bit warm now. Today we are talking about self-value. I recently become aware of self-value as one of those things that is almost, in my mind, much more important than even emotional intelligence or the education we have, or there are many qualities that are external to us that we add to ourselves in the pursuit of creating an abundant, more fulfilled life. I find that self-value is more behavioral than emotional and conceptual. It's more about how you act toward your own value, the things you value, as well as others. A lot of times you will find people choosing to do business with certain people and not others, because inherently they have this, and it happens a lot of times with people that maybe look like us. You find that you may be unable to objectively do business with people who look like you because perhaps you've got this whole thing that they may not do a good job and. But then when you look deeper into yourself, you may realize that you yourself within your work or in your business may find that you have some subconscious beliefs about your own capabilities, your own abilities, and your own value. We value what we invest in. We value ourselves more when we have invested in ourselves. When we feel like we just up and went, or when we feel like we are not showing up 100% in our own lives, it forces us to actually confront that every time we have an interaction with other people. Because what happens is that we interact with other people in the same way that we esteem ourselves. We may interact with other people in a way that feels like maybe they don't see us, they don't hear us, or they don't hear our message, or they don't value us, but that inherently comes from ourselves. It may even happen that you find other people that value you, that see your value more than that which you see of yourself, and then still you will have the detriments that come with self-value being low. I want to talk about some of the symptoms that may appear, just so that we have a clear view of exactly what a low self-value means. And then we're going to, of course, take it the other side and talk about what a high self-value means. A low self-value definitely will show in your work. And I mean, I'm reminded of when I worked as a call center agent. Found that a lot of the people that work in the service industry may be really horrible customers to other people. But that comes from knowing that they themselves, when they sit behind the desk and they are the one who is giving service to others, they have misgivings, they have holdbacks, they have, tactics of trying to get more out of the transaction than they really should. And so when they deal with other people, they think that other people are doing the same. I often say that a thief has already been stolen from by all 7 billion people on the planet. Because no matter where they go, they expect that people steal. Because they themselves are the proof of the fact that people steal. In the same way, when I myself am the proof that people who stand in jobs or run businesses are not enough, or I feel myself not enough, I will therefore treat others as if they are not enough, as if they are not bringing their full A game, as if they are not giving me the 100% of value that they possibly can. But this stems from the fact that subconsciously, whether we like it or not, every person we encounter and interact with is really a mirror of ourselves. When we look at them, we are looking at what is reflected of us. Therefore, this is why one of the symptoms is projecting. That we project our weaknesses, we project our strengths, we project... Have you ever noticed how if you're a person that has got really nicely done eyebrows, you will notice other people whose eyebrows are really nicely done. You will also notice other people whose eyebrows could do with a little bit of work. But you notice the things about others that actually reflect back to you, your own beliefs, your own value system. And almost as a way of spontaneously, constantly evaluating yourself and evaluating how you're actually interacting with the world. One of the symptoms is that you may minimize your abilities. And this is something that is very easily, remedied by consciously actually writing down with gratitude those things that you discover yourself to be exceptional at. But a lot of times when we have a low self-value, we may find ourselves minimizing those things that we are able to act at expert level in, our talents and our abilities and our skills. Minimizing them and therefore not being able to even charge a fair price when we are called to do that as a business person, because we undervalue ourselves, we minimize our abilities. It's all good and well in relationships to walk around and go, I know my worth. But then when we're talking about the things that pertain to your work, the things that pertain to how you show up in the world, it tends to be a little bit more lacking. Perhaps because there hasn't been as much talk around that to actually say your value and how much you've put into preparing yourself actually goes right through everything that you do in life. We may also make unfair comparisons where we compare our dress room self with somebody else's showroom self. With social media and all of that being what it is, it's so often that we see people snapping up pictures, the entrepreneur life looking like coffees and travel and all of these things that may or may not be part of our own experience. But we then compare somebody else's showroom self with our workroom self and find that we find less value in ourselves because we are looking at ourselves through the eyes of someone else's experience. These things go to the core of us because, of course, we prosper and are in good health as our soul prospers. We are only ever able to attain that which we can see inside. As it is within, so it is outside. We can find ourselves not believing that we are capable of achieving our goals and living our best life simply because we've got this thing at the back of our minds that has come generations and generations down that says you must work hard. So if I'm not working exceptionally hard, then I don't feel that the work that I'm doing is actually worth something. Even though it has taken you 10, 15 years to hone that skill, it has taken you your entire life to take a talent and perfect it and monetize it and make it something that other people are willing to pay money for. And yet, because for you, it may have just been something that started out as, play or a hobby, you may find that you are unable to put a proper value on it. This also shows in ways where a lot of times people will do a thing where they can't charge. They can't tell a person, this is how much I want to be paid for this work. because in their minds, they are unable to reconcile the 10,000 hours of preparation to be able to do this 10-minute output. That is part of it, that what you charge needs to speak to that as well, needs to speak to everything that you have put into this moment. Even if it takes you, if you think about somebody who services, your fridge, they've been learning air conditioning and refrigeration and all of that for a long period of time. They've had to constantly invest in themselves to be able to do that. You don't stand there and argue with them about the fact that it took them 5 minutes to change the gasket on your fridge and make it stop leaking rather than 5 hours. It is not about then the time that it took, but the expertise that they brought to the job that made it so simple, so easy. We are able to see this with other people. Oftentimes, we're not able to see it with ourselves because it comes down to self-value. And this speaks to our core beliefs and our self-beliefs and, the way that we esteem ourselves and estimate our capabilities and what we offer to the world. If what you offer to the world is valuable to the people that are receiving it, you are worthy of receiving the fair exchange of energy, of effort, and of outcome. If the value of what you do for someone means a certain value to them, then it is good to do an exercise of checking, are you getting the same value out of that transaction? Because it's not sustainable to continue to be altruistic and offer your services at a lesser charge because you're just so scared that people are not going to see the value and pay the full price. Because the more you do that, the more you find yourself actually feeling less and less capable to run your own business or to support the business in which you work, or to actually ask for a raise at work, or stand up for yourself when the time comes. What do you do? Before we talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about what it does look like when you actually stand in your true self-value. Number one, you will find yourself able to gauge fair exchange in terms of what value you are bringing and what reward or compensation you are getting for that value that you're bringing. You will find yourself able to actually, with humility and with the right boundaries, set those boundaries, set those contracts. I once dealt with someone who's a small business as well that said to me, I run my business the same way as one of the big companies run their business. Before I even do a single transaction with the customer, I make sure there is a process to support that business. Because she values her business and what she does, she was able to actually put in place things that are not hurdles. They're not being difficult. It is not being difficult when you ask people to sign a contract before you engage in work for them. It is not being difficult when you ask people to pay a deposit before you do work for them. It is not being difficult standing for the value that you bring and making sure that you get fair exchange. It is a soulish thing when we find ourselves not able to ask for what is due us. It is a thing that starts to erode even your own value as a soul. Jasinji. I now want to speak a little bit to some of the things that have caused us to arrive at this. You cannot continue on every Sunday to go to church and say things like, I am not worthy, I am just a worm, I am nothing, I am a wretch, and then expect that outside, when you are at work or when you do business or when you're in a relationship, that you are going to stand with humility on your value. Let me talk about what humility is. Humility is not esteeming others more than you esteem yourself. Humility is about rightly esteeming yourself. It is about putting yourself in right standing with yourself and with others. Understanding that you have rights as much as others have rights. Not putting yourself in a place where other people's rights mean more than yours for whatever reason. Not putting yourself, you see, I've heard someone say that sometimes we self-colonize We do. When we actually take all of our value and offer it up to a point of saying to someone, you tell me how much you'll pay me for this. Not appraising ourselves at the value that we should be at. There's coaching for this kind of thing. And incidentally, not to toot my own horn, but definitely tooting my own horn. I am a heart intelligence coach. And that speaks to what your value is within yourself, what you bring into life, what you are capable and able to do, and how you interact with the world. So standing in the full intuitive wisdom of your heart and being able to actually extract from this life everything that is due you. Yes, with love, with kindness, with harmony, with all of those things in place, but definitely not discounting yourself just because when you look in the mirror, you see your face instead of the face of somebody else that you would pay much more for exactly what it is that you do. When we have these guests that are from business, these are some of the things that they talk about how to begin and how to position yourself properly and all of those things. So they'll talk about that. I want to talk to the heart of who you are, who I am, and the value that we place on ourselves in relation to others and how it affects what we extract out of this life. Yes, I jokingly talk about the confidence of a cockroach, how we can just show up and stand firm and stand tall and be proud and be who we are and unapologetically. If you need permission to be unapologetic about who you are and what your strengths, capabilities, skills are, this is the video that is giving you permission. Find out who your competitors are and find out what value they are giving and make sure that you are on par, charging right, not giving more than you absolutely need to, but also when you do give more, valuing it at the correct amount and then getting what is due you. You are not going to get a refund out of this life just because you didn't enjoy it, just because you felt like you need to be taken advantage of. No one can make you a doormat without your permission. No one can take advantage of you without your permission. It is in walking into the room and knowing that your presence in that room is proof enough that you are worthy and equal to whatever challenge exists in that room. I will offer some affirmations that can help with the mindset side. But remember that affirmations are not things that are a band-aid to a situation that we are not fixing. So there still needs to be work and, in the heart and in our value system and in our beliefs about ourselves to bring ourselves up to that space where we see ourselves as worthy, as enough, as more than enough, as equal to the challenge, as being in the right place at the right time, as being worthy of the experience of life, of living our best life, of a fulfilled life, of creating such a life. Remember that the universe says yes. It only knows how to say yes. God, the universe, says yes. The genies say yes. All they ask is, what do you want? Right? When you can answer that question truthfully and fully with clarity. Sometimes it is just a lack of clarity. Again, I'm going to mention coaching because when we do the coaching, we actually get to the clarity of exactly what are you trying to do? What do you feel like is the message of your life as expressed in your work, as expressed in your relationships, as expressed in your interactions with people, as expressed in everything that you do? Because everything that we do, we are just like a tree. You are not going to find a tree not treeing. There is not a break where it's like, I'm not treeing, I'm just standing here now. No, every moment that a tree is standing there, it is being a tree. Every moment that I am here, every moment I take a breath, I am labeled. There is no cure. You are you. There is no cure. There is no break from being you. Every interaction you have with others is an extension of who you are. Every interaction that you initiate or receive from others is something that is talking to you, constantly telling you who you are and giving you feedback of exactly how you're interacting with this life. And so you have the right to speak out with clarity exactly what it is you want to see in your life. And I want to encourage you, you will begin to see that in your life when you speak it. When you step into your rightful self, your righteous self, your right standing with self, then you will be able to begin to see the things in your life become the way that they should be. What happens is that determination is so important. Self-doubt will rob you of that. When we have a self-value that is lower than it should be, we rob ourselves before somebody else does. Because before someone, they can just be saying, you say, okay, my services are 1,000 rand an hour, and then they go 1,000 rand, and then you, because in your heart you're like, oh my goodness, maybe I overcharged. You like, no, we can talk about it, we can negotiate it. Really? We need to move past this. People don't walk into Pick and Pay and say, I want to negotiate how much I'm going to pay for this. They pay what it is, even if it's 10 times more than how much it costs the store to actually have it on that shelf. They pay what it is. People negotiate with us constantly because we're open to it. We're open to, maybe my services aren't worth what I think they are. No, they are. And the right customers for you will come. Think about brands like, somebody joked to me once that you don't see adverts of Porsche. Okay, fine, you don't see adverts of Porsche. But also here's what doesn't happen. You don't walk into a dealership and say, I want to pay 50% because this car is not better than that one. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't change the value of that thing because they stand there in the full authority of the value that they believe themselves to be worth and give it to you at that chosen value. I give you permission. Not that you need my permission, but this is permission to stand in your full value, to evaluate yourself, to look in the mirror and honestly know your worth, and then go out there and act your worth. Some affirmations that I personally use. So sometimes when we are, beginning to use affirmations, we may feel like it's maybe a lie. So I'm going to encourage you to use affirmations that have progress in them. Here's an example of one for business. I am prospering every day. I am growing in wealth and in my wisdom every day. My wealth is multiplying. I'm advancing, growing, and moving forward financially. That is an affirmation that doesn't cause an upheaval with your subconscious mind, that doesn't come against what you have believed for all your life, but that allows you the room to grow. Affirmations are a very important thing because they start to change your mindset and create within your subconscious mind. Of course, when you practice them, we don't practice them like, every 5 minutes, this is what we're saying. No, you allow it to drop into your subconscious, into the back of your mind, so that you touch it lightly. And you say this to yourself. And when you're going to use affirmations, put yourself in a state of joy. Put yourself in a state of nothing missing, nothing broken. A peaceful state. Maybe something like what we had when we just did the tune-in just now. Because the energy of your joy actually supplies the emotional currency that is needed to actually make that affirmation come true for you. When you say an affirmation in a way that's like, I don't know, maybe, then obviously it's just not going to happen. When you say an affirmation from a place of stress, now you are stranded, datas are knocking and you're like, no, you're not going to change anything by doing it like that. But when you're saying it, when you're in a state of nothing missing, nothing broken, then you are affecting your future and you are dropping it into your subconscious where you begin to act out from that place of that affirmation. You lay it as a foundation from which you interact with others and interact with yourself, see yourself and others. Here's a few one-liners. I am a top performer. Success and achievement come naturally to me. I always do better today than I did yesterday. All my thoughts and efforts lead me to the success I desire. There is an opportunity in everything that presents itself to me. I choose to be happy. All right. So these are some of the affirmations. Of course, if you pop a comment on this video, I will send you some affirmations that we've done. We do have a couple of videos of affirmations on this channel as well that can help you. Affirmations work better when you say it in your own words. So find what works for you, what you are able to affirm, a tiny little stretch at a time. Never just go full on into something that's just like, even in your mind, you only see that in 5-10 years time. Go into what you're able to actually foresee happening today. If yesterday you did not make any sales, then your affirmation for today is, I have more customer inquiries today. You can affirm that. You can have those because it's one step forward. It's something that you can totally believe. Remember that you cannot affirm what you cannot believe. You can affirm things that will be in the future better than where you're at right now, but you need to be able to believe it to grow towards it. This has been the Soul Dive. I encourage you to get clarity on your self-value, to value yourself and to value those around you, and to notice in those around you those things that you value that are in line with your best, highest value, and you will begin to move more towards that, and therefore stand with humility, with good boundaries in your value. It's been the Soul Dive. My name is Lebo. Thank you for tuning in.